Hello, everyone. Namaste. Happy New Year to all the masters and peeps who come on PMC USA. Welcome to our seventh session of book club book discussions. And as you all know, we are discussing about the book, You're the Placebo. It's written by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And so we are going to continue our discussions on that. I think we will go through chapters 8 and 9 today. But before that, let's do 5 minutes meditation to kick us off today. Sirisha, if you can play the music.
Can you please unmute yourself, Radhika?
Yeah, all of you just close your eyes, clasp your hands, cross your feet, and just focus on your breathing. Slowly open your eyes. All right, so let's get started. As we all know, we are discussing about the You're the Placebo book, written by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it is an amazing book that shows us the power of mind, using our own mind. That is the important resource that we have within ourselves. We can heal our body. He shows, he has excellent scientific studies that he describes all through the book and explains how everything is possible, and it's also within you. It's not the environment, it's not the disease, it's not, but it's all about the power of your thoughts and mind, that you can control. Body can experience what the mind believes. So let's continue a little bit about our discussions, and we'll review about the previous week's content a little bit. So we talked about attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions. So attitude is it is about the thoughts and feelings that you have in your mind, and the beliefs. We saw about how these Appalachian snake handlers, or people who walk on the fire, or how they have their belief, and then how the fire doesn't affect them, or the poison in those snakes don't affect these people. It's all because of their strong belief that they have, and that's how the body supports them without injuring or hurting them. We also saw about how thoughts and feelings, which usually last for seconds or minutes, and these become the state of being. And if you carry on the same state of being, these become our attitudes. And attitudes can last for minutes, hours, days, or weeks. And if we continue these attitudes, and they become beliefs over months and years and decades, and the same beliefs for decades or for a lifetime becomes perception. So by changing your thoughts, you can lead to changes in your perception of how you look at your life, how you look at your things. So by changing your belief, you can change anything you would like for your body, or for your life, for your future. So it's all in what you believe. And we also learned about how one strong experience can lead. For example, we saw about people in Cambodian women who were who had become blind and also become deaf, because they witnessed really, really horrible things in their life that they did not wish to see anymore. And that's why they became blind, because they did not want to see any more atrocities in their life. And that so that one spike in their life, like that one single experience, also can lead you to have a permanent damage, or permanent changes in your body. And that same thing, by changing that single experience, or having that one emotion that can override the previous emotion, you can create a new state of being. So that's what we based on the power of the environment, You can, based on how you see things, how you perceive things, you can change and you can overcome that past experience. So that's what we learned about in the previous class, previous book, chapter 7. Today we'll go about the quantum mind and the 3 stories of personal transformation. And we'll finish. I think we will have one more week. We will discuss chapter 10, and there's part 2 of the book, which talks about transformation. So all the information that we learned in all these 10 chapters, how do you apply it, and how do you apply all this information to transform your mind and body? So let's get into the material for today. So mind and matter. So these are the 2 things that we have, like mind and matter. So matter is all about it's in the science. Study of matter is also within the realm of science, because you can predict it, you can prove it, and so there's all these Newtonian physics, Newton's laws, where you talk about every action and reaction are equal and opposite, gravitational laws. So all these things describe functions of an object, how it behaves. So if apple falls from the tree, what is the speed of it, what time it will fall on the ground, all these things. You can predict all these things. This is all science, how long it will take to fly from Seattle to Raleigh, all these are predictability. So this is all called classical physics, which is the study of the matter. But when it comes to the mind, it's totally unpredictable and chaotic and complicated to study. So that's where the quantum physics comes in. Quantum physics is study of energy, and also it's beyond space and time. So it's we talk about the subatomic world of electrons and photons, not photons, photons. So as you know, every object or anything, when you get down to the smallest particle, it is a molecule, and molecule is made up of atoms, and atoms is made up of electrons and photons. So the study of all these, the energy in these electrons and photons, how they behave, that is all called as quantum physics. So classical physics is all proven. There is a lot of predictability, but whereas this quantum physics is all unpredictable and which is full of potential. That's where is the potential. So let's look at some more examples. Explanation of quantum field. So quantum field is this invisible intelligence or consciousness that exists beyond space and time. So in this space, there is no physical or material that exists. It is beyond anything that you can perceive with your senses. Like you cannot see the energy, you cannot hear, you cannot. So it's all, it is a pure consciousness which is beyond our perception. We cannot see it. It's not like something that energy or the information is something that you cannot see. So it's a multidimensional reality in a realm where there is no body, there is no time, there is no thing. So that is what is quantum field. So all this time, all these other chapters, we read about really biological, neurological aspects of the brain and the body and thinking and all that. So now this is a little bit different beyond all those things. It's called quantum field. So we'll learn a little bit more about how this affects, how we can, what happens with this quantum field. So like I was telling you, all the objects, everything is made up of, even our skin cells or whatever, everything is made up of molecules and atoms. And these atoms are made up of 99.999% of empty space. When you think about, so we are saying that, okay, this is a solid object, but still when you get into each one of them, it's all empty space, which is nothing but energy or information. So it's really amazing to think about all these things. So this empty space among all these cells is what creates the energy field, and we'll look at all the coherence and everything. And also there is something called observer effect. So it seems these electrons and photons, they behave differently at different times. And when you observe, they're doing something when you're being observed. When you're not observing, they behave differently. So it's like it is totally chaotic and unpredictable. It's just a momentary phenomenon because you don't know next time what happens. So scientists discovered that when they observed this subatomic matter, they could affect the change in their behavior. So it's a little bit vague in the sense you just have to use your imagination. So when we think about all these subatomic particles and this energy, it just means that all these things exist all the time. That is, simultaneously, they're all there everywhere. So it is an infinite array of possibilities or probabilities within that invisible quantum field of energy. So because when you observe is when it changes. So if you, where you place your energy is, where you place your attention is where the energy goes. So and this is another experiment. I just found this online, this picture, where they said that when the electron was passed through slits, in one of them, it acted as a wave and produced an interference pattern similar to light. But when a detector was placed in one of the other slits, electron is being observed. So when you observe, then that interference pattern was not the same it produced before. Because it's being observed, it's changed its pattern. So that's just amazing for me to think about how that is possible. So it's just that anything is possible. That's what it all means. So literally, placebo effect is not fantasy then, but it is a quantum reality. So wherever, like I was telling you, wherever you place your attention is where you place your energy. So once you fix your attention or your awareness or your mind on a possibility, you place your energy there as well. As a result, you're affecting matter with your attention or with your observation. So the matter can appear and disappear based on your attention. Or you're observing, then that is happening. So if you see on the right, the picture where if the vibration is slow, like the lower one, radio waves, then the curve is a little bit flatter. So the frequency is less. And then the wavelength is longer. But when there is a high frequency, the wavelength is shorter. So it oscillates faster. Just imagine like a fan, for example. If you have a fan and if you're running it, so at the low speed, you can see the fins of the fan, and also the wind it creates is lower. But when it oscillates faster, when you go to medium speed, when you go to faster speed, you can barely see the fins. So physical reality is not there, but there is energy. You can feel the energy. The fan is oscillating fast. There is a lot of wind that is there, but there is no, you cannot see the fins. exactly like that. So the middle picture is what he's explaining. The particle, when it is in slower frequency, you can see the particle in the physical reality more. So that is like a solid matter, you can see it. But when it same particle is oscillating at a faster speed, so the possibility of it being in the other realm is more. So you can see that there's more possibilities of it being in the quantum field or the non-physical immaterial field. So the same thing translates to our body, our emotions. So the more creative emotions you have, the more energy you have, and it takes you to the new mind. Whereas if you had less, like these lesser emotions, so there's less vibrations, so there is more matter and less energy. So when you go to higher levels, it is less matter, but high energy, and it's creative emotions. So it's a analogy, like the fan analogy will give you really like what we are talking about here. Hope it is clear for you guys. Moving on, this is like when you have for this like coherence and incoherence, again, imagine you have like a hall full of drummers. So if they're drumming synchronously, it will become music to your ears, right? If all the drummers are going at the same like same pattern, at same frequency, they're drumming, then you can hear a pleasant music. That is what is coherence. And then if they were beating harder and if they're asynchronous, then each drummer is going at his own pace, then it is called as incoherence. So now think about this as cells in our body. So if every cell was coherent and they were all going, all the cells were communicating with each other, they're going as per the energy, same frequency, then you have the coherence. That's the picture on the left. That's the health. Whereas when the cells are not talking to each other, or when there is that electromagnetic field is not the same between them, that's when there is a disease. So if you were to go from disease to the health, and you want to go to a new mind, you have to bring coherence in your body. That is what is the picture and the right is saying. So when you want to heal, you're bringing all those frequencies or the energy to be synchronous among your cells. And that's how you go into the new mind, and that's how you're healing. So it seems the communication between the cells happens at it's like even faster than speed of light. We know that in material world, we know that speed of light is the fastest speed that we know. But the cells within the body are communicating even at much faster speed than that. So you can just imagine how much intelligence, that supreme intelligence is within the cells, that all this is possible, this communication, and this is just very amazing to even think about the possibilities. So let's look at the next. So we, our body, if you think about, has like the heart, which beats at 101,000 times, 101,000 times per day. It can beat that many times. And it can pump 2 gallons of blood per minute. and that blood travels 60,000 miles in each of 24-hour day. It's just phenomenal. All these numbers are like mind blowing. And body is, so by the time you thought about all these things, body has made 25 trillion cells, it seems. So, and 70 trillion cells execute between 100,000 to 6 trillion functions per second. Can you just imagine all these numbers and all these things, how it is happening in the body? And then when you inhale, your total inhalation for the whole day is like 2 million liters of oxygen. And also all that oxygen is distributed across the cells within seconds. That much supernatural our body is. So this is all like beyond the quantum doorway. This is the universal intelligence which exists everywhere. It's not just within the body, it's everywhere. That's the universal intelligence. That's what we're trying to understand, this Paramatman everywhere, pure consciousness. I'll stop here. If you guys have any questions or anything you want to discuss. I think we have a couple of participants. If you guys have any questions or. It's a little bit abstract, but it's really, really interesting to learn about this quantum field and quantum energy and the possibilities that it has. So we went over the observer effect.
Clear, I think so. No one has doubts. I think everything is perfect. So it's simple way and efficient way you explained, right? So it's good.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So I just wanted to go through and see if I missed any point. So yeah, one thing I wanted to tell you was like, if you, so we saw that how everything is possible, right? With all this quantum energy and quantum field, there is n number of possibilities, n number of probability. So there is a lot of potential. So if you can imagine a particular future event that you want to experience in your life, that reality already exists as a possibility somewhere in the quantum field, beyond the space and time. So just waiting for you to observe it, because we saw that when you observe is when it becomes real. So there's already whatever you wanted in your life, you can imagine there's already things there. You just have to observe it, then you can get it. So that's what is the important takeaway from this chapter, I think. So the next couple of stories are from the real transformations that Joe Dispenza saw with his workshops and things like that. So I wanted to see if I missed anything else. Okay, so next was personal transformations. So we will go over like there's 3 stories that the author describes. And these people, like, they really transformed their lives. So first is Laurie. So Laurie, she at age of 19, she was diagnosed with something called as a degenerative bone disease, fibrous dysplasia. So with that, what happens is whenever she, even to walk or to sit or to, she has the bones that can crack easily, that can fracture. So whatever, like she cannot do any intense physical sports, or she cannot go out. She cannot do, basically, she cannot do any physical activities with her condition. So, and what had happened was there was a past for her. So her father was very violent and he was very fearful. So we saw that when the child is like, 11 years, 12 years, it seems their brain is in that alpha and theta state where they're highly suggestible. So whatever they see and they experience, all that goes into their subconscious mind. It's all programming. So she always lived with fear because of her father, because he was very violent. He was abusive father. So she had that fear in her subconscious mind, and that fear had become the disease in her. So that's, she will realize that later on. But that was the cause why that had happened. And so almost like she is in her 20s, she wherever she went, like in the bus, she goes on a bus, then she will get a seat quickly because of her, she would always announce that she has this problem and she cannot sit, like she cannot walk further. So she was using her disease to get what she wanted. Like any, when you go to some place, you can park close by, you can, like when you go to auditoriums or something, you can sit in the front. So those kind of things. She was introducing her disease. She was, the disease had become her identity, basically. So wherever she went, she was reminding people that she had this disease. So that only made things worse. So by 20, and when she was almost 30 years, when she was 40 years, she was almost like living like a 70-year-old with back pain, and and that's when she got introduced to Dr. Joe's books. So she read his books and she attended his workshops. So once she started attending his workshops, and first thing she did was she stopped sharing her diagnosis with others, because she didn't want to repeat. First thing she realized was that might be the hindrance that was happening, because whatever you say is whatever you think is what you believe, and whatever happens. So first thing she said was she was not going to talk about her diagnosis to other people. And she stopped repeating those destructive patterns, thinking pattern in her mind. And then she just focused. She realized what was possible. She just was imagining her future self being very joyful, and she was connecting to the divine source within herself. And then she was imagining like a wonderful job, and she had a life partner with healthy relationships, friends and family. And then she also, every time she was thinking, she would just swiftly change her thinking. Like if she went back to her old self, she would say change, change. Like she would literally say that word change in her mind. Like she would write it down, and she would write something. And so she was basically trying to uncreate what was created. She was trying to uncreate. And she was imagining like a pain-free body. And like when she was meditating, she would say, at least in my meditation, let me think about my pain-free body. So she would and also like having a safe and quiet home. And and also she changed everything, basically. Like she didn't want the body to get any old signals. Everything she was changing, even where she puts her deodorant, she changed the location of that. She slept on the other side of the bed. even though she had to walk, but she wanted to make sure everything, the body forgets everything and creates new feelings and emotions and new things for the body. And she was in one of the events, she had like very intense meditation experience. She was walking without the cane also. She was very happy. She was smiling, laughing, and so that intense meditation session almost like made it as like a real, made like a life change within her body. There was a change, huge change in her body. And when she went back in 2012, and she went back, and there were hundreds of x-rays which had shown a particular fracture in her femur. But in 2012, when she went for the checkup, she did not have that fracture. So even though she had seen this fracture in hundreds of x-rays, it was not there at that point. So she was like so happy that everything was working for her. So she started like imagining this new future. She was being very grateful. She like next time when she went, 2013, she even did not think about the results, what will come, because she was just grateful, and she was imagining everything positive, everything happy. And they said that there were no fractures at all. So that was so astonishing for her, because she had lived all through her life with so many fractures, micro fractures, and because of her disease. So in 28 years, for the first time, she knew that there was, so it was just amazing that how she healed based on, how she changed her thinking, and how she changed in believing about things. So her thoughts are incredibly powerful, and choose yours wisely. Like she put that quote everywhere, and so it was proven. Like it was not only theory that she read in the book or she attended in the workshop. She was actually seeing all these results. So what she told Joe was that so all these fractures had manifested from the unhealthy protein expression in my bone cells, because I had been living by the survival emotions of fear, victimization, and pain that was caused by her father. And she was powerful enough to manifest weakness also perfectly in her body. So because of all those things, she was manifesting that pain also. Because she believed in that victimization or pain so strongly, that is what she was meant. So once she changed, once she reprogrammed the genes to, once she memorized those emotions subconsciously, and she changed, she forgot living in the past, but she changed basically her bone cells to make healthy collagen. So she entered into her autonomic nervous system and her subconscious mind, and go beyond analytical mind, basically. And then she repeatedly reprogrammed the information, and she was giving the body new orders every day, to create new cells. So that's how her journey, that's one of the miraculous journey that Dr. Joe has seen, and that's what he wrote in his book. So from age 19 to 47, she had all this experience of having poor bone health and all that. But after 47, so even though it was like 20 years, she was able to reverse that. She had a new mind and new body, basically. So that's Laurie's story. Any questions? Any thoughts? Okay, let's move on. So this is another story, Candace's story. So this was another person where she was in a relationship which was not very happy. So it was again this partner, she was always constantly in fight with that person. And also they were like accusing each other, blaming each other, and there's always this constant mistrust between them. They don't trust each other and they're always blaming each other. So it was like a tumultuous relationship that she was in, and that continued like for 2 years. And then finally her body started seeing all the reactions to this. So she was diagnosed with something called Hashimoto's, which means it was like a thyroid condition. It was chronic lymphotic thyroiditis, which is like an autoimmune disease in which the immune system attacks the thyroid gland. So, and then all the other like metabolism, everything is affected because of this hypothyroidism. So like weight gain, depression, and also like panic attacks, sensitivity to heat and cold, abnormal heart rate, and so all kinds of issues she had. So she went to endocrinologist and they said, okay, medicine, you have to take this medicine indefinitely throughout your life. And she actually had no family history of this illness. So that she was like not able to accept this diagnosis. So she rejected it. She said, and also at the same time, she read these books, Dr. Joe Quigley's books, not Quigley, sorry, Dr. Joe Dispenza's books. So she read his books and she wasn't agreeing to the physician's diagnosis. And she was thinking that whatever this mind is what creates the illness, and it is the same mind that creates wellness also. So she believed in that. And she started like intense meditation, like every day 4:30 a.m., very disciplined. Every day she would meditate and she would condition her body to the new mind. She would think about, positive things. She would be grateful to the things. And she, instead of focusing on the relationship and other things, she shifted her focus. She started thinking about, how she wanted to have a she was imagining a future with her. She wanted to have a good health and find a good life partner. And so she was imagining the new consequences for her, new future events instead of the past. So she made, every time she was thinking about the low emotions, she would consciously shift and shift her state of being, basically. And then she raised like all the biologically, neurological, genetically making room to create new self, and her body began to liberate energy. So she went into Dr. Joe Dispenza's events, and inspired by even other fellow attendees. She was inspired by hearing all those other stories, and then she's basically reprogramming her subconscious mind. Everything that whatever Dr. Joe teaches, she was trying to really feel that emotion and forget about all this anger, frustration, resentment, everything. And then, but instead focus on the creating these new fire and wire new neural connections of love, joy, compassion, and kindness. So all these, she was pruning away all the old emotions and creating these new emotions. And that transformed her. So she always kept telling her, I'm not the old Candace. I'm not reaffirming that existence any longer. So, and then for months together, she persevered. She stuck to this this belief and this routine, and these kind of thoughts and everything, and until she really saw the changes, and she went to the doctor, and she got her test done. Everything was normal, all her TSH. And so what Dr. Joe is telling her was, you're in love with life and it's loving you back. So it's like, as you started loving the life that you had, and it's loving you back. So the body is responding to that new state of being that you wanted to be. So that was the miraculous journey of Candace. So her new physiology began to drive her to greater levels of joy and inspiration. And the disease then belonged to the old personality, but now she was someone else with her new personality. So it was like she realized that she took full responsibility for herself. She was a victim of her relationship and her external circumstances, that life was always happening to her. She thought like that, but instead she took responsibility for herself, and then she realized what had happened never should have happened, and it was not anything outside of her, but it was her who was taking that situation and making things worse for herself. So by changing her perspective, she changed her, the body and the situation in her life. So this is Candace's story. We have one more story that Dr. Joe talks about. This is Joanne's story. So here, she is a 59-year-old. She's a mother of 5, and she's committed wife, but she's also a successful businesswoman, entrepreneur, and she is she's juggled constantly at home and with her family dynamics, growing career, and thriving business. She's always like hectic. She led a very hectic and busy life, and even though she knew it, she was always like not. She was pushing through it. Basically, she was constantly pushing her mind, and she was acting. She was sharp and active, and she was projecting herself to be that, which internally she knew she wasn't that. So one fine day, she gets out of the elevator and she falls. She falls in front of her house or something, and then she just collapses. And she's diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So she wasn't like it. Her life completely changed from from being this highly focused and highly involved person. She just this kind of opened her. She always denied, right, herself, like she did not give any chance for her personal evolution. So she always denied everything, giving personal attention to herself. So now she was almost like living in emergency mode. But then she read Dr. Joe's books, couple of books, and then she just stopped and she said, no more. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not going to be like, she said she has to stop and she wants to heal herself, and she starts doing mental rehearsal that she wants to do yoga. And then she primed her body and mind by thought alone. So even this with MS, multiple sclerosis, a person cannot walk, and they're basically wheelchair. They're on the wheelchair. But by applying all the things that Dr. Joe is talking in his books, and programming her subconscious mind and thinking about what all these possibilities, she wanted to do yoga. And one fine day she would be able to like do some poses and she can walk. And then she began to meditate regularly. And then she convinced her body emotionally that the future event of healing was happening. So she was looking forward to her better self, and she imagined she like she's out of this wheelchair and she's walking and she's happy and she's joyful. And in one of the events, again, she also like has this intense meditation. During her meditation in one of the workshops, she has something called, I think this is all enlightenment, like there is that intense shift that happens within them. And she was like, she felt lifted, overjoyed, and she started walking. And so even though she was wheelchaired for at least a couple of years, with that workshop and with that meditation session, she was able to just get up and walk. So that was like her life force was back, and she was healed, and all that repair was, she was simply tapped out of her past. So this was, so again, Joanne became her own placebo. She changed her health from inside out without using any medication, surgery, or therapy, or, with just changing her thinking and power of mind. So she was imagining herself to being healthy, to walking again. And so that's where she made that happen. She made that happen in her. So, and that MS, like she forgot about that identity. She didn't want to live with that MS identity. So she basically was her own placebo. All of them actually, Laurie, Candace, and Joanne. So I think all of them were their own placebos. They believed, they saw what they wanted to become, and they achieved their goals, I think. So miraculous healing, all of them. So yeah. So, and I think in the future chapters, Dr. Joe also shows about like the brain scans, what happened in these sessions when these people were in the workshops. And so I'll show all those things in the next session when we talk about. So that brings to the end of today's session. So if you guys want to discuss, I like this comic somewhere, so I brought that. So it's like going to the pharmacy and Placebo next. Make sure you take it every day, otherwise the effect wears off. So make sure you remind yourself that you're the placebo every day. So yeah, I will open up now. If you guys have any discussions, you want to talk about anything.
Yeah, unmute to everyone. Please go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Wow, what an amazing session, Radhika. It was excellent. Yet another beautiful session. The quantum physics, how you explained, if I go through the book, I'm sure I would have never understood all those intricacies what you explained. It was beautifully explained, and all those slides helped to understand better. And the stories are truly amazing. It's unbelievable, right? The placebo effect. Even after 28 years, Lori could come out of her problems, and she could treat. So it's truly amazing. So wonderful examples, and it was an amazing session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepu, for your insights. It was almost like a scientific thriller, right? When you're reading that, I was like, so I have this tendonitis now, so I'm applying those. I'm trying to apply those. I think that's why I'm reading this book also, to heal myself.
Yes, you should. I'm sure definitely you're going to apply, and you're going to become one more placebo for us, a live example. I'm sure you'll do it.
Thank you, Deepika. Thank you.
Thank you, Sirisha, for this amazing session. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Deepika. Yeah, thank you, Radhika. As usual, your PPT is very nice, and it's very easy to grasp easily. So that observer effect and all, it's very nice. So wherever your focus, your energy goes. So when you observe the even photons behavior, it changes, right? So that it's really good, and amazing stories. It's really unbelievable. Yeah, it's true, but because mind, it's mind only is the creator for everything. Illness creates in the mind as well. Wellness also creates in the mind. That is the main point here. It's observing these stories, and so they wanted to shift their new mind. So they were able to visualize to new perceptions, so that it's amazing results already they've seen. So that's a wonderful job. So in ignorance, or we do always. So if any problems, what we do usually, we repeat the problems, right? So whenever you go to parents' place, or friends, or colleagues, we repeat always. We repeat the problems or issues, right? So we should learn from these stories. We should not repeat the problems. That's the main thing we learned today. Thank you so much, Radhika. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sirisha. Yeah, I totally agree. I tend to do that a lot too. Like, I focus on the problem a lot, and so I want to shift that to with these tools and this book.
Yeah, great.
You said it right. Thank you.